Johnny Rock Show. Rockin' 101, the Rock Station.
The Rockin' Dockin' on the Johnny Rockin' Show. Waiting for our guest, author Sean Kelly. Don't call it hair metal. This guy, a minute away, the PR guy says. Didn't he just say 4 minutes away? Now it's another minute. Well, you know these big-time authors. Yes, don't call it hair metal. And the full name is Don't Call It Hair Metal, Art in the Excess of 80s Rock. Musician and writer delivers love letter to 80s hard rock with the new book. And we're going to ask the question, do a deep dive. Is hair metal or hair bands, do they get the respect that maybe they deserve? Or is it all like the grunge of the 90s would have you believe? It was all just a dream. I'll tell you what. I saw a crack in the armor of Dokken at the Monsters of Rock concert at the Metrodome. Van Halen, Scorpions, Kingdom Come. And the Rockin' Dokken had to follow these new upstarts called, what were they? Oh, yeah, Metallica. Every night. And when Dokken came on stage, that didn't go well. They booed him off the stage. Dokken. Rockin' 101. Rockin' Dokken 101. You're on the air. Please don't swear. Is this Sean Kelly?
If it's Johnny Rock, it's Sean Kelly. How you doing, Johnny?
Good. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, my friend.
Oh, I used to live in Buffalo, New York. I know your city well. Beautiful. Well.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Amazing. Thanks for having me on, pal.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Way to go on the new book. Don't Call It Hair Metal, Art in the Excess of 80s Rock. Before you called in, I was telling the story of the first time I thought there might be as I said, a crack in the armor of hair metal. Remember the Monsters of Rock tour, Van Halen, Scorpions, Kingdom Come, that whole thing back in.
I wanted to go to that so bad. I do remember.
Yes. Well, I went to it and I saw Dokken get booed off stage because they had to follow Metallica, and it didn't go well.
Yeah, I've read so many accounts of that, and I think that's a perfect example of something wicked this way comes. Right? There's a new thing coming from the underground, right, closer to the street that the kids are relating to, and from things I've read about Dokken, and even from the interview I did for the book, that was definitely a band that was at one point struggling for identity, like they found themselves using the same clothing designer that everybody used, like having internal struggles about pushing it forward. Whereas you have a young band like Metallica, they just want to write cool songs that sound like the new wave of British heavy metal and skateboard, which is something that's a lot more relatable to kids than which clothing designer you're getting.
Well, tell us about the book. Is this in defense of hair metal, or is it all, was it all just a dream?
No, you know what, man? It actually started, I was going to really show people what it was all about, right? I was going to defend this music that has meant so much to me, that continues to mean a lot to me, and I was going to prove people wrong with academia, and I was going to throw all these arguments. I abandoned that pretty quickly because what I realized was we like what we like. As listeners, we're emotionally moved, and we respond. So what I wanted to do was maybe humanize some of these artists, show the artistic intention behind what they were trying to achieve, and show the sonic evolution of the music to show that there's actually a lot of diversity, and it should be part of the greater overarching story of rock and roll in general, not just some aberration that happened because of corporatization and the zeitgeist of MTV.
We're talking to author Sean Kelly. Don't Call It Hair Metal. On sale today at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Wherever books are sold. Yeah, I think the whole genre gets a bad rap, but I saw Dee Snider recently do sort of a video on Facebook, and he really nailed it on the head. Anytime, anything, rap, country, bluegrass, I don't care. If it's selling, the record companies are going to try to reproduce it over and over again, and that's what happened, right?
Well, that's it. It eventually got so refined that every label had to have a band with a W in it. Hey, Winger, Whitesnake, Warren, we gotta have a W band. Every band is starting to use the same producers. They're starting to use the same clothing designers. We're going to lead with the ballad. You started to get this kind of generic sameness that happened at the end. which is too bad because a lot, by the end of the genre, also records were starting to sound better. Things were actually, there was a lot of great records that came late 80s, early 90s. But by that point, you know, at the end of the day, the underground always comes back up, right? And kids don't want to listen to their older brothers and sisters' music. They want to find their own thing. I mean, it's just part of the evolution, right? This happens, the cyclical nature of rock and roll.
Yeah, see, as a baby DJ at the time, full disclosure, I didn't see or hear Nirvana as this groundbreaking new thing. I thought Guns N' Roses shook it up more than Nirvana did at the time.
And to be fair, they probably did. Like what Guns probably gave commercial hard rock, as we come to know it, an extra few years, right? By going back to the street. Still connected to, you know, the kind of Aerosmith meets Motorhead meets Nazareth kind of vibe, but they kicked against what was happening with the corporatization of the record labels. They were doing their own thing, and they didn't care. They happened to be captured very well, recorded very well by Mike Klink, and they happen to have some amazing songs. And, you know, they absolutely shook it up more. It's funny, I talked to Gilby Clarke in the book, and he was telling me, you know, the first time he heard Nirvana, he goes, oh, that's kind of cool, like the Ramones meets Cheap Trick. That's cool. He didn't see it as the end of the road, you know, for everything, but when that video hit, I think a lot of people remember exactly where they were when they first heard that opening riff. It smells like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, I prefer the Weird Al video to the Nirvana video, but that's just me. Do you have a favorite quote unquote hair metal band back in the day?
Well, you know, it did change me. Twisted Sister is the reason I'm a musician to this day, so that will always hold a special place in my heart. They were first, but you know, really, Motley Crue was massive to me in terms of challenging my, you know, young Catholic, you know, moral value system and exciting me in ways I hadn't been excited before by the darker side of rock and roll. Van Halen absolutely changed everything for me in terms of being a guitar player and a musician. But I loved it all, and you know, I was just constantly going back and forth between these bands: Rat, TNT, Winger, you know, Cinderella was a big one for me. I tended to gravitate later on towards the more bluesy bands, the more Zeppelin and Aerosmith influenced bands as a guitar player, because that's kind of what my fingers did more than the Yngwie Malmsteen type stuff. But I loved it all, man, and I still love it all. I still kind of drink from that pool, you know?
Well, keep drinking. Yeah, we had Tom Kiefer on a couple weeks ago, and I told him I always thought Cinderella was closer to, you know, Aerosmith and Zeppelin than to, you know, Poison.
Listen to what they did on Heartbreak Station. I mean, there's Zydeco, there's country and western, there's funk, there's R&B. That's really, it's basically a masterclass in American roots music. But because of the cover of Night Songs back in 1986, for some people, they're the ultimate hair metal band. But really, what a disservice to the musicianship and songwriting of Tom Kiefer. I would have loved to have talked to him for the book. I tried tracking him down. I couldn't get him. So if you ever talk to him again, tell him I love him.
I'm on it. Author Sean Kelly. Don't call it hair metal. Art in the excess of 80s rock. On sale today. Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, wherever books are sold. Well, you're obviously welcome back anytime, and I'll play more Rockin' Dockin' for you.
Johnny, I appreciate it. I love talking to you, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
The Johnny Rock Show. Rockin' 101. The Rock.